The Floor Academy podcast is sponsored by Trelama, the trade labor marketplace, where businesses can find skilled trade labor, such as flooring installers, and where flooring installers and other skilled tradespeople can find permanent or project work. You can set up your profile at trelama.com, TRALAMA.com, or download the app from the Apple App Store or Google Play. And remember, Trelama is always free for skilled tradespeople. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Phoenix, Arizona. We are here talking with flooring professionals from all across the country about the issues that matter to you. I want to encourage you to learn while you earn. That means get those headphones on and start listening while you're installing, sanding, doing whatever you're doing while you're working. This week's guest is Tim Brown. Tim owns Hook Agency, which focuses on web design and SEO. After spending time developing leads for businesses under another business, he went out on his own and, like most of us, learned that being a business owner is tough. Join us as Tim gives us some free insights into how we can improve our web marketing and websites, as well as discussing how important story is. Tim Brown, are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You had reached out to me saying that you'd heard the podcast and some good things about it. So, you're not even in my industry. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just contractors in general, I'm really looking at who's doing cool things and that. And you guys are doing awesome stuff. So
awesome. Thank you. So why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, why you do it, kind of how you found your way into it? I don't know, what do we want to call it? 30,000 foot view? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So basically I was a web designer originally. Actually, go back a little bit further than that, give the origin story. I was trying to be a musician and my wife told me I sucked. And then I got into web design and web development actually, and was making websites, worked for another agency, basically was kind of doing a lot of stuff for clients and they let me be the marketing director at that company. I really realized I could push up business and basically in a business, if you're the one that holds the nozzle for business development, if you can increase leads and are really good at that, it's kind of like, why don't I just do this on my own? Because that's such a big piece of it. Now, I found other things about being an entrepreneur that were really difficult after I went out on my own, the P&L and all that, and the difficulty of even employees and helping them be happy and stuff like that. But, now we've got 15 people. It's about 4 years after my wife and I's kind of first year, and I had hired her maybe 4 or 5 months into it, kind of realizing, she had a job at a corporation, but it wasn't a super high level one. And then they laid off her whole department about 3 months after she left. So, even when you think about these corporate jobs, they're not actually you're not guaranteed anything. So sometimes it's good to take a risk no matter what. And there's certainly things around running a business with your wife that's very hard, but in general, it's been a pretty good thing for us. And we've kind of got this, this niche around contractors and creating things like systems and habits for them in their marketing that people like. We handle a lot of their website stuff. We make website edits and help them get higher on Google. Those are the biggest things for us. And I'm one of those people that gives away all the secrets. Whatever I've got, if I can be of value, I'm going to try to give it away. I'm not worried about trying to get your business by holding secrets back. I don't think that works in this day and age. So all you got is your reputation. And at the end of the day, our thing is we give away all the value, but then people are like, I would like you to do it though, sir.
Yes.
And so that's kind of our business model. We tell everyone exactly how to do it. And it's a little scary sometimes because you're kind of feeding your competitors too. And that's kind of weird because sometimes I see competitors pop up and I'm like, oh, you're like a replica of us. And so like that's one of those things that happens when you give it all away. You certainly like I get the opportunity to mentor people and all that, but basically being in business for yourself, there's a lot of really hard things. And we've just tried to scale out, the habits that get new business, that increase people's leads. So those are the main things we're focused on. And we have a lot of contractors in different niches in construction and stuff like that. So that's why I thought it might be a good fit to share some of these tips and kind of the basics, at least for your audience. And I'll let you kind of define where the conversation goes. But yeah.
Well, the conversations go wherever my inquisitive mind goes, but I'm never the biggest con I pulled was everybody thinks I'm the expert.
Yeah. Hey, that's what happens when you interview smart people.
I'm not the expert, everybody. I just find them and interview them. You can do this too. I promise. Yeah. Actually, somebody that I interviewed has started a podcast now interviewing other people.
I love it.
So
yeah, it's awesome. And I love podcasting for that reason too. Like you just get to talk to so many smart people.
Yeah, it's fun. I like having conversations and learning things. You said two key words that I know many contractors are bad at, including myself, even though I have some: systems and habits. What kind of systems and habits are we talking about? Because guys get contractors have a bad habit, right? They get good at a skill, just like you. You were like, I have the key to success. I can generate you leads, and then you started the business, and you were like, hold on, I don't get to just generate leads for people. I have to like figure out my money and charge, and like there's 8,000 other things going on. So contractors are generally bad at business and systems and habits. They're just good at that one skill. So
and I'm good at marketing, and I'm kind of bad at some of this other stuff. Like if I could find a really awesome CFO type person, or like QuickBooks, I don't know, master with billing and all that, we'd be wonderful. Like there's, you know what I mean? There's always the next hire that you want to get. So I'm certainly not like an expert in overall business strategy per se, but as far as like getting more leads on your website, we're very good at that. The things that we've determined, like things that really move the needle, and we get to experiment with it on a regular basis. The best part is also the worst part, which is we have 30 clients that are constantly anxious for more business. That's what we have pushing on us at any one time. And the pressure makes the diamond. So the things that we've learned, how do we get those leads up quick? Mm-hmm. How do we push that up as soon as we can? And we kind of have to always be doing that. So the biggest thing, you have to figure out what people, from my point of view, you have to figure out what people are Googling, right? And there's a lot of ways to be able to do that, just like even without a tool. I mean, we have all kinds of cool tools that make stuff happen. And one of them is Ahrefs, ahrefs.com. It's a really awesome tool to figure out what your competitors are ranking for. But even without tools, and I think that one's like $7 for 7 days, even without crazy tools, like being on Google and just searching around. And like, if you start to, let's say you think what's your city, by the way?
I'm in Mesa, Arizona.
Mesa flooring. What do you think is a lucrative term for you? Let's just use you as an example for a second.
Well, the company name's Illustrious Hardwoods, and I do hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and laminate flooring. So some of those terms will probably be incorporated into my website.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like Mesa hardwood flooring type thing, I put it into Google, and Google is really good at kind of giving you some suggestions here too. Like, so I see a couple, like it drops down with suggestions once I type in what I think I might want to rank for, and it gives you suggestions. And like essentially, some of these are your brands, the competitors, etc. But like, it usually gives you stuff that people are searching a lot. So I put in what I think somebody's searching for, and then it'll give me like flooring, Mesa, Arizona. Like that's actually one that a lot of people are actually searching. And then there's other little functions on that Google search result page, like searches related to flooring, Mesa, Arizona at the bottom. And they'll give me like flooring, Chandler, Arizona, flooring store near me, flooring stores,
Okay.
easy flooring. So it gives me these are like suggestions from Google for the searcher, but they're also suggestions for me as a small business owner that potentially you can create different sub pages on your website. Each page on your website is like a piece of bait out there on the internet. So it used to be back in the day, you could just put a list of keywords on your homepage. Like, I want to rank for these. Please list me for these, Google.
Mm-hmm.
And it would work. But now it needs to be more sophisticated than that. And the competition is getting thicker. So it gets harder and harder, but there's still money to be made. And so basically by creating sub pages on your site, and this is just the kind of the 101 thing, and we'll go in a little bit deeper. But by having these sub pages on your website, especially for your most lucrative services, you're able to essentially create a piece of bait out on the internet. And every single one of those is like, it comes with that little blue text on Google search results. And, that the text beneath it, that's kind of like that. It's the meta title and description, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of that page. And you're able to make, edits on that. Most people, if you have a website, a lot of people, they either have a tool on their WordPress website or they're on Squarespace or something like that. And it gives you that option for meta titles and descriptions. You want to figure out what those keywords that people are searching with Ahrefs, or even just using your best guess on what's lucrative and what you see people finding you for, and front load those keywords in that meta title and description. And having, let's say, you can have 5 services like your, laminate, hardwood, etc. You can have those 5 key services in your menu as like under that service drop down or whatever. But you also can have other pages that aren't on your menu. You don't have to make every single page on your website in that main navigation, and you can go after other niches or potentially those your key niches for surrounding cities. And that's something I see a lot of people, some people know that, or they've like had an SEO company tell them that, but they never followed through. And I guess that's my first suggestion, is to know what your most lucrative services are, figure out what people are really searching often, and then do it for the surrounding areas that you're willing to serve, right? Like if you're not willing to actually go out to those areas, don't do landing pages for them. The point is to get new business, and we're not trying to trick people into working with us. We're just saying, hey, we serve your area. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's that opportunity. So like, I don't know if you serve Chandler, but like creating landing pages for the top services for Chandler. So like, it's the combination of the laminate, hardwood, Chandler, Arizona, those different pages. And then the key is to write 500 words at least on each of those pages. And that, it really does work. It's just long and slow.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, like I said, we tell everyone exactly how we do it. And then sometimes they do a little bit of it and then they start to make money, but they're like, I don't want to scale this. Okay, can you do it? So the point is like, you do need original content on each of these service pages, like in each of these like location landing pages for that to really rank. So and it has to be original content. It can't be like copy and paste from anywhere else or your website.
That's what I was just going to ask. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, my head is, it's ticking. Like I understand I understand enough to know what you're talking about, cause I'm kind of dorky. Yeah. So
no, exactly.
that's what I was going to say is, can I take
I've tried it. Like, I've really tried. I took cause I'm dorky too. And I code, right? So, I'm sitting out here. Like I created like a thing in WordPress where it would just like swap out the city name. And then it would like be the rest of the same content. So it's kind of original, right? Cause it would like with code swap out the city name in 50 different places on the thing. And it just like, Google caught on. Google's algorithm is smarter and smarter. It's kind of annoying, but it is the truth.
Okay. So, but essentially what we could do is we're going to make a services page for each city, change the content up probably like at 30 to 50% between all of them. You think?
Basically it has to be completely original content.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you got to find a way to write the same thing like for 8, 9, 10 different cities. If you're in an area like me.
Like there's 2 key ways that I think you can get this done really well is like, if you're passionate about your company, like I just did, like, I believe this shit like deeply. I just wrote, just so you know, I wrote 4 of these last night for my company, and there are different cities that I'm going after.
Okay.
Because I'm basically trying to create, like, I'm willing to fly out there, so I'm servicing a couple other cities like us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making landing pages, and so anyways, for us, that's kind of our thing, is I'm going after bigger cities, but like for home services, it's usually like around you, because it's like, what would we actually travel to?
Yes.
And I really believe it. So I spent time writing these pages last night. So that's one option. Spend time writing the pages, and maybe you carve out 3 hours on a Saturday that you write each week or something. If you really believe this, that's what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is just have a nerd like us take care of it, or whatever. You could literally have a college. The point is there is some secret sauce. It's not really that secret, but basically you want to make sure that they understand the basics of SEO is the key thing. Because I'll give you those basics kind of quick, because I want to. I don't want this to be a secret. SEO is the secret sauce, or there's like a black box or something like that. I like people to know exactly what it is. So I'll kind of give you our checklist here, and you can decide whether it's appropriate for you to do this or not. But really, I think the most important first part is, do you think this will work? Like, if you don't, that's what we really, I think, try to help people with. We kind of are like an accountability partner when we're working with people. And like, the reason is because you would not expend this amount of effort if you didn't believe it was going to make you money. So it's really hard. So that's usually where I think people get lost along the way, is they're not going to actually follow through on this, because no one's sitting there saying, no, dude, it works. It works. Keep going. Keep going. Like, frankly, that should be a service that we offer. Keep going.
Yeah.
But here's like kind of the basics. So you do want to research on topics that people are searching for, either through, like I said, that kind of basic way is through Google search and kind of looking at what it's suggesting. But other ways are Ahrefs, that tool that I mentioned, Google Search Console, and then one more is SEMrush. Any one of these would do, but it's semrush.com is the other one. I think that one's a little cheaper than Ahrefs. And it's like allows you to look at keywords and how many people are searching them a month. So you do want to have targets. That's the first thing. 2, you want to check on other things that are ranking for that term. Like, look what other people are doing to rank for that term. So Google it, see what they're doing. And you want to, like, we use a tool called Surfer SEO. Lots of tools in this podcast, but hey, if you want to go hard, these are awesome. So it's called Surfer SEO to identify like what subheadings, subtopics, the word count, and then like image usage. But really it comes down to, you want to put the keyword at the beginning, the first 20% of the blog post. You want to have it in subheadings. So like those little, like in WordPress, it's like heading 1, heading 2 in the little drop down. But basically subheadings about that topic. We use images, make sure to have images up towards the top, and we use alt text. It's basically like alternative text. It's really easy to enter in WordPress and most website editors, to just basically have the keyword in there and then describe the image, the keyword that you've identified kind of through one of those tools or through your Google searching. Okay. And then you want to ensure the keyword is in the URL and is prioritized in that meta title, kind of like how I mentioned earlier. And you want there to be really clear. This is kind of gets into your website and how well that's performing, but you really want there to be call to actions pretty quick on the page. Even though I said, hey, we want 500 words on each of these pages, on each of these service pages, you don't want it to just be a wall of text. You want it to be broken up with images, and you want there to be a really clear call to action, maybe some bullet points at the top and a call to action. I don't mean to get too far off topic, but even though we're writing for search engines, we need that writing to convert for human beings.
Yes.
So basically, I know that I need to hit 500 words kind of as a general principle, But when I'm writing these things, I'm trying to be persuasive like I would in a conversation with another human being, right? Like I'm trying to share the best things first. I'm trying to be as clear about our services as possible. And I'm trying to increase desire with that person. So it's kind of like, a lot of small business owners and I'll just say small business owners for now. A lot of small business owners understand what it takes to get somebody to trust them quickly because they've done sales. A lot of small business owners have a background in sales.
Yes.
And those are the same principles that we need to apply when we're writing pages on our website. It's just interesting. A lot of people, it falls off. I think because we kind of have this old school mindset about websites. Like if you come to my website, you already know me, but hopefully not, like hopefully we're getting more people to our website that don't know us. And that's kind of a mindset shift, and we need to help them trust us quickly. So, that gets into the design of those pages as well, which, you want it to be easy to consume, and you want to have examples of previous customers on each of these landing pages if you're making them. I'm not going to go crazy into design because I think it's hard enough to kind of give the basics of SEO quick without touching too hard on design. But suffice it to say, you really want like testimonials. And my ideal is that it's almost more like reviews. Like it feels like a reviews widget or something like that, where it's got like a Google logo, 5 stars, the story, like a brief testimonial, and then like a picture of the person who left it.
Yeah.
Because people don't trust testimonials online. And also they don't go to your testimonials page. So if you have those sectioned off on their own page, a lot of times people are not going to those pages. And I look at we're looking at the analytics of a lot of people all the time. So like basically people just don't go to those pages very much. So basically you want to have those on every page that's selling to someone. And these landing pages for SEO would be no different. Now I feel like I'm on a long tangent, but I'll just kind of wrap up with, you want to have the keyword in the beginning, the end of the page, and very much so in the prioritize at the front of meta titles and in the alt text of your images. And all of these things are little tiny pieces to that puzzle. But if you did these, it's 80% of the puzzle. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there's things that SEO companies and marketing professional, like there's little things nuances that might be that like last 20%, but like 80% of it is these simple things, and they're the most important things. And it does do a lot just to do the basics.
Okay. Well, luckily for contractors, most other contractors suck. So doing 80% is probably like doing 8,000%.
Yes, unless you're competing against somebody like us, like they have an agency working for them.
Well, correct. But
then it's hard. But
most of these guys are mom and pop businesses. Maybe they run a couple crews. They're not really out there competing against the top of the top in the market. But if that's who they want to be, they can do the 80% for now, grow, and switch later when revenue becomes different.
And we love them doing that. Like we cheer people on because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense to hire an agency or something like that at certain revenue points, right? Like it's not, and the ones that you can hire usually suck, like the cheap ones. So it's just kind of like, I'd rather people push on this themselves and learn the basics. Honestly, I guess it comes down to almost like my ideology around business, though, which is you push yourself for a long time and you get a lot done on your own. And it's better to go that route first for a while. Like, I'm not going to say like a particular, well, maybe it's good to say, like, I think 200K to 1 million is kind of a journey that's, a lot of it is you. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel. I feel like there's a lot of space, and I don't mean to be prescriptive, but the point is that when you're first starting off, I really think it's good to push on your own marketing and to kind of learn the basics. It's kind of like, it's kind of a craft, just like flooring is a craft, and just like a lot of trades are a craft. you want to think of it that way, and even if it's not motivating to you, it's still useful, and learning the basics of it is way better than trusting random people. And there are scammers out there. There are
Correct.
SEO scammers, there are marketing scammers of all types, and if you know the basics and can do some of it on your own, you're much more fortified against that. And what's worse, spending like, I don't know. I mean, we're expensive, so I don't want to necessarily say our pricing at this exact moment, but what's worse, spending multiples of thousands of dollars a month, or spending like $800 a month for years on end and not knowing that they weren't doing anything?
Yeah.
Because we
No,
see that
totally.
all the time. Like companies that say they do SEO, and you're like, well, I'm getting leads from my website. And cut to all the leads that you're getting from your website are actually from your brand name, and that you've spent 20 years establishing, and all the word of mouth advertising that you've gotten from amazing work, and they're sitting there taking credit for $800 a month.
Yeah.
Like that's what you have to watch out for. That's why I think people should really kind of dig into this a little bit to get the basics.
I think you always got to have an understanding, right? Like I have a
Yep.
bookkeeper, but I know
Yep.
how to look at my numbers and add them up and make
Yes.
sure that things are in the right bank account. Like she can't
Exactly.
get in my bank accounts. She just
Yeah.
makes sure the balance is right and
Yeah.
things are kept track of properly. But
Yeah.
like I have
Who's
enough
your bank?
understanding
Yeah.
to do that. So
Who's your accountant, by the way?
who do I use? I use Bulletproof Bookkeeping. It's a
Nice.
little local
Are they awesome?
company. She's absolutely amazing. She has a ton of contractor clients, so she
Yeah.
that's a
Knows
niche
how
that
to,
she
yeah.
focuses on, and she's just like,
That's
yeah, I got
awesome.
it. She can see my receipts, and she's like, oh look, there's a bunch of caulking on it. Like that's a supply. It goes over here.
Yeah.
He bought a
Those are
tool.
that's amazing. Like I think having a great bookkeeper I am so happy to have a decent bookkeeper. It's such a big
Oh
deal.
my god, it cost me nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I've told her straight to her face that I would pay her 3 times what she charges me, and
Yeah.
still be happy. And
Yeah.
I fight with her to charge her clients more all the time. I'm in there like,
That's funny.
what are you doing? Because when was the last time I got a bill? She hasn't billed me for like 4 or 5 months now, and I'm like, hey, you need to cut yourself. Like, I have to send emails and be like, you need to pay yourself. Here, cut this check.
I definitely think your bookkeeper is going to get more business from this podcast than I am, but that's okay.
Well, she's been on it.
Incidental, I like it.
She's been on it, so we've done that.
Oh, nice.
But
Cool. That's
no,
such a big deal, though.
it's man, I get it. So okay, so there's a couple things. All right, you said that there needs
Yep.
to be contact, and I 100% agree. There,
Yeah.
there's this very old school mindset of like, hey, I can just put contact us over here. They can click on it. They can go fill out
Yeah.
the email thing on that
Yeah.
one page. But you've talked about call to action.
Yeah.
I 100% agree
There's
that on
nothing wrong
every
with having a
page.
form. There's nothing wrong with having a form up top too. And that's a personal style thing. I think having a button, like I think my ideal might be just like a persuasive headline, 3 bullet points, and a big old button
Yeah.
that just sends them off, or a form that's not too long. You don't want your form to be 10 fields long. Ideally, it's more like 4.
Yeah.
So I know that's always a struggle with people. Some people want more information, but I think it's best to try to keep it short.
No, I don't see any like you have your main little header bar, right? And so like you got to have like the call us now button or like message us or whatever you want to do. That's always at the top, and then you can
Exactly.
you give them the little bit of info, and it's like, hey, you can reach us over here, and then you can have like the testimonial, and after that, hey, you can reach it. Like if you're there when you're in somebody's house and you're selling them, they can tell you like yes at any time. They're reading your website. So if you don't give them the option to connect with you now, in my opinion, you're missing out. And that's just because of my understanding of like this stuff on a little level. Like if that button and just how people use the internet, right? Like if I can't click to get it now, I'm not going to do it. So.
And it's kind of just a reminder of what you want them to do on the website. Like, what's the point of this website? If I land on one of those pages, you want the point of the website to be kind of up top. It's basically, there's this book for web designers. It's called Don't Make Me Think. And you get the whole concept right just from the title, which is You don't want them to have to expend any energy to figure out what the point of this page is when you land on the top. So it's like having a great photo, having a compelling headline, and having that big button that tells them what the next step is supposed to be is like, it's basically a form of empathy. Some people think it's like, it's a little salesy, like, brother, like, do you think that all these people really want to have to think a ton about which contractor they're going to provide? They want to make a decision quickly, frankly, you know what I mean? Like, I know that we want everyone to care deeply about us every single time we get a contact form. Like, wow, you should be in love with me. Have you ever talked to a prospect that just came to your website and you're like, why don't you know a little bit more about us? That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
No, but
like,
I don't care because I can do that, right? Like, you called me. Now is my chance. Like, if all I need is for you to call me, and I can be the guy, because I just need to get you on the phone and I can build rapport. My website cannot build rapport like me. Please call me.
Yes.
Sooner the better.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people I think sometimes we just get a little small-minded. We think that everyone should care about us, and even your prospects, even some of your best prospects, might not care a ton per se. You can educate them a bit, but at the end of the day, it's about their project, making them feel taken care of, and giving them a great end product, right? Like, it doesn't have to be about your company. And I think maybe I'll just kind of like wrap up the bit about, these landing pages with just, I think you should be focused on making the story of that landing page. And, you're cranking these things out, right? Like, let's imagine another flooring contractor across the country who's getting value out of this podcast. Like, you're sitting there, you're hitting 2 or 3 of these every Saturday morning, 2 or 3 hours. I know that there won't be that many people, but there will be a few that take action based on this. And when you're cranking them out, what's going to inspire you to write? Write about them and the successful project what it will be like when they have their new floor. Like, write about that, and write about what you've seen so that's the promised land for them. You're writing about them and their promised land in this service. And then you're also writing potentially about what can happen if they don't choose a professional, a high-end flooring company. So in that case, it's like, that's the failure. You have to kind of give stakes for the story. There has to be a positive and a negative future.
Yes.
And you need to make them the hero of the story. They're the smart person who chose a quality contractor, and hopefully a highly reviewed contractor to handle this. These companies have an opportunity to they look at their competitors. I think we look at our competitors sometimes and we see examples of what we think this is supposed to look like, but a lot of them are doing it way wrong. So don't just copy your competitors and say, about us, about us, about us. These are the services we provide, and we're really awesome, and this is exactly why. Instead, like, you can flip it on its head and write about them. Yes, you need to mention the services. Like we said, you need to have the keywords in there. You need to be descriptive about what it is you do, but from a point of view is like trying to make them the hero of the story. I think that will help. It also it makes it easier to write too, because I think it's really hard to write about ourselves sometimes. Like, we feel embarrassed, like, like, I don't know, I don't want to toot my own horn. And it's kind of it's a nice way to not have to do that as much, because you're writing about successful completed projects and how much better their floor will look, etc.
You listen to a lot of Donald Miller?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. No, I push that podcast on people all the time. I gotta.
Oh, it's so good.
The book is the StoryBrand book is on my list, and I gotta get the new one that's coming out.
Yeah, it's so good in the podcast. He gives away that's one of the best podcasts.
Yes. So are you a certified StoryBrand consultant then?
I'm not, but I feel like I'm probably more intense than people that are certified, because I don't want to spend $10,000 on a random certification, because that's how much it is. But
yeah.
It's studying. That's an important thing to remember. Studying all the free content that if you really think somebody knows what they're doing, Study all the free content first. Don't just think, sometimes you'll buy a course. It's like, oh, I bought a $50 course about morning routines. Yay. But then you go in and find that there's like 3 YouTube videos by the same person that gives away all the same information.
Correct.
And I think that's kind of the same with a lot of experts out there. And it's okay. It's good. And sometimes you just want to pay for something to feel like you're making an effort.
Yeah. No, I look, I couldn't agree more. Okay. The way we communicate with each other is we tell stories. That's what this podcast is we're sharing stories back and forth about how we feel about things and whatnot. That's how we understand. So I can go and I can write that webpage like you're saying, and I can say, I can do this for you and I can do that. Look, they don't care about me. They care about them, because the person we care about most is ourself, and we want to talk about ourselves. So yes, write it at, like, I've always, what's helped me with my Facebook page is I've always written up my advertising for Saturday mornings and all of my different community groups as, I went to this house over here. This family has a beautiful new home because of X, Y, and Z, and it solved this problem for them, or these problems for them, right? And now everyone can attach to that because they have a similar problem. They have a dog that's peeing all over the floor. They have an elderly family member that needs, no transitions throughout the entire house, or whatever it's going to be that they can connect with. They have young kids. So you got to give them that thing that, oh man, that's me. Like I'm that person. I need that.
Exactly. And and just like quick psychology for people that aren't really into story brand like you and I. The idea is we've got this constant story going in our heads about ourselves. We're all the hero. I think it was I'm trying to remember, a very classic author that said we are all by necessity the hero of our own stories. I love the way that that's phrased, because it's, of course you are. You're the most important person in the world to you. And we've all kind of got, it's self-preservation, really. Self-preservation. And, that story brand stuff, like, to give a little bit more context to it, is it also needs to be there needs to be a little bit more urgency usually in the way we write to people. Like, we're avoiding pain and moving towards pleasure. And you do want there to be a little bit more pain. Like, you have to explain what the pain would be too. And, it's like, it's funny because we leave it to we're good guys, right? And we're ethical, and we want to treat humans with respect, and we don't want to abuse people's psychology. I think that that's something that you do have that option if you're really good at marketing. Really, seriously. Like, it's a little too, I'm not trying to be weird here, but it's a little too powerful in a lot of ways.
It can be, yes. You can use it for evil, for sure.
With disrespect. And you don't want to do that. But we're going to leave it to all the weird big corporations to be really persuasive. Like, if you watch a Chrysler ad, they'll tell you literally, I've seen a recent car commercial that was basically like, almost like all your problems are going to be gone if you have this. You're gonna all these issues that are going to be wrapped up. And, like, I don't love that. I just need to learn. I need to learn what they're doing, and I also understand the fact that if you are a really awesome provider of services, that you want to be careful about this. You do not want to make it grossly obvious, but you do need to kind of outline that ideal future with your product and service. Like, because there's other companies using this in their marketing, and we're blending in because we're not willing to step it up a notch as far as, like, the urgency, the pleasure pain paradox. We're not willing to mention the fact that what could go wrong. We're not willing to really sell ourselves in marketing. Like, I think a lot of us are good at doing this in person. A lot of small business owners, especially because we know how much blood, sweat, and tears we put into our small business as we're working, and we spent 20 years learning the craft and all that, right? So we've got this pride in our workmanship, and we're willing to say how much it matters and how much we're kind of sick of seeing people get ripped off and that kind of thing in person. We've seen that, right? Like, people talk about that. I know contractors talk about that. They talk about poor craftsmanship and, the bitter taste of poor craftsmanship wears off long after the pleasure of
A low price.
cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever
Something
that
like
old
that.
saying
Yes.
is. Yeah, but the idea is like people need to get a little bit better about saying that in their marketing. They need to bring the pleasure pain thing in a little bit more, and they need to hit people with a little bit bigger offer and a bigger vision of the future. They need to really outline it and get a little bit of provocative with their language. I do think that will help people increase the desire on their website. And that's the thing. That's really the ultimate. I mean, we make pretty websites and stuff like that, but ultimately the text you use is way more important, I think, than a lot of people realize.
No, well, that's what's there, right? You can tell the
Yep.
story through text and pictures. That's really the only two. Well, I guess
Yep.
Colors are there, but
Yeah.
they're probably not doing as much as the text and the picture. So you have to be able to tell this story and motivate people through that when you can't. Okay, there's video content now, but you only have so many forms of communicating via a screen. So we have to motivate them somehow. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you are not selling on your webpage. And mine is outdated and probably not selling well. And now, but I've learned more in the past year and a half.
Yeah,
so
exactly. I want to redo my website right now, so I certainly understand.
You go through phases, and you have to learn, and you redo it, and you learn and you redo it. Just like you said, like there's guys out there and girls out there that have probably been taken on SEO companies and paid $800, $500 a month, whatever it's going to be, and not getting the results. Honestly, if you're paying like $1,000 a month, you better be booked 2 months out all the time with multiple leads coming through a month from the website, and you are landing those deals like immediately. And then you can scale it from there. But if you're not, ditch that service because it's probably not doing anything for you. It's your word of mouth and you talking to people, and Betty Sue, who you did last week, telling Gabby that, hey, she needs to go look at your website and set an appointment up with you.
And that's a lot of your traffic a lot of times. And I think some people think that's SEO, or like my website's working. Your word of mouth's working because you're awesome at what you do. You know what I mean? And that's good. I mean, it's the best way to get a customer. I do love word of mouth advertising. I mean, I do think like that is the core of most of our businesses under a certain size. So, and I still feel like that's basically how we get the best business, is people telling other people. So
yeah, well, so I still have to generate most of my business. I spend Saturday mornings for like an hour on Facebook. I post to 60 community groups. I get some leads the following week. I close some of those leads.
That's awesome.
Then go, it's been an amazing way to build a business. I'm surprised I pulled it off, to be honest with you. And I figured it would take me 3 to 5 years to really start seeing a return on referral business. So here I am, year 3. I actually started seeing some more referral business come in because if I'm only touching like 50 people a year, 50 people wasn't a lot, 100 people is a little more. Now I'm at 150. So there's 150 people. Hey, you should use Kyle. Hey, use Kyle. So that's starting to pick up. And there's a lot of contractors that pride themselves on, hey, man, I'm referral only. And that's awesome. Like, good for you. My business model that I want is way bigger than that. So I'm going to need the referral business on top of random leads just coming in. And this is the stuff that's like right up my alley. I will gladly pay $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month if I can generate the revenue behind that in sales to not only pay that, but pay the contractors on the floor, plus the salespeople, plus like $10,000 if you're doing $1 million in revenue a month is nothing. Sure, here, let me throw it at you. Like, I will gladly pay it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that my one thing about social media, just briefly touching on that, is I think it's a way to think about it for us has been just really pushing on it as like a way to increase referrals. Like, I don't necessarily personally, I mean, we have generated some leads and closed some deals from social media. But more importantly to me, it's like being in front of customers and other people that know us. I mean, maybe this is thinking small, but I like the way it just increases. I believe it increases our visibility and like our community, and then it in that way gets referrals too. So I like to think of social media as a way to increase referrals as well.
Yeah, well, I think that you get to be more present, right? So now,
Yeah.
not only can you have something that your website can sell, your social media can be, it's
Yeah.
you. You get to be out in front of the people, and they can see the
Exactly.
your character, they can see your personality,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
there's different
Better
ways to
customers
do
too,
it.
because yeah, versus like like text and image only, like they don't get to see it. So I love video too as part of that, and I think it's helpful. And social in general, um, it is a little harder and slower than I think a lot of people think it might be sometimes though. So it's like stick with it, and it's also create habits around that, like you're doing. So that's awesome that you're doing that.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the key to anything, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not going to hit a home run on your first. Well, I mean, some people do, but you're not going to hit a home
Yeah.
run on your first try, right? Like you're going to have to.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've been at it for, I don't know, 4 years to like build it up,
Yeah.
and I think I have in a city of 4.5 million people.
Yeah.
I'm up to like 1,500 likes and followers on my Facebook
Hmm.
page. Like I'm not over here killing it, but I put in
Yeah.
time, and it's every Saturday that I like make a post. So it's not like I'm.
That's a perfect rhythm though for I think a lot of people is just like make sure to be in there weekly
Hmm.
and feeling fresh, just feeling like your company's alive. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like every day or anything like
Yeah.
that, but keeping it feeling fresh. And then like you said, like if you're just living off referrals, completely only referrals, I feel like I like to expand my network, and like if you expand your network out from, with social media, SEO, and any other digital marketing that you're doing, any kind of ads, anything you're doing on marketing really, is you're just creating another node in that expansion of the network, right? So like I don't want to just like it's just a little slow from my point of view to
Hmm.
just do referral. And it's like, and it also feels like you don't have control of your business development. Like, well, I have to wait until they tell somebody else. But if I'm getting in front of them more often through the internet or even through your trucks and whatever else, the opportunity to expand. And then those, if you really love referrals, those people that you find through advertising, whether it be digital or otherwise, can then refer you. So like you've got new referral people.
Correct.
they,
Yeah.
they, yeah, they learned about you some other way.
I get it. Look, some people want to be the one man band, the
Yeah.
single installer with an apprentice, and like that's the perfect system for them. Other
Mm-hmm.
guys want to expand, but I'm with you, right? Like I have to sleep at some point,
Yeah.
so my social media can be there in the middle of the night because I definitely have people messaging me on Facebook at like 1 a.m. asking for quotes.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't
Yeah.
even have to be awake and present. Now, granted, they woke me up and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to you later. Goodbye. I'm
Yeah.
sleeping. But
Yeah.
yes, you're able to still touch people, right? Like, and that's great. That's what we want. We need to be able to sell when we're not available to sell.
Exactly.
Um, I mean, this has gone. This isn't all where I thought this conversation was going to go. It's
Yeah.
fun. What
Yeah.
else you got for us? So okay, we got like the
Yeah.
SEO tips. We got landing
I
pages.
mean,
They can do
I'll
things. What else are we looking
pop
at?
a couple of last bits out here for sure. Just a couple of things to round it out. Um, I just thought of like when we were talking about these, because I was talking about how important text is. And you were saying like basically, like, well, I think imagery, just a few quick notes on imagery. I do think being a little bit more on the nose with your imagery is actually useful and good. And like a lot of us can take a picture. Like you can take a picture with a customer who's smiling next to their new floor. You can take a picture of a family that like if you're a little audacious, yes, you have to be audacious, but just asking somebody to take a picture with their happily completed project
Yeah.
and like making it with a big cheesy smile, I like that. Like I don't love stock photos, but those stock photo companies know what they're doing with those smiling in front of a house and smiling in front of the finished job
Mm-hmm.
photos, like and even the handshake ones that are so cheesy and bad. Like being a little bit more on the nose with a completed project photo and like making that up top on your website or on your landing pages and like actually getting a little bit more audacious with asking for customer photos and stuff like that. I think it's actually extremely useful because, like I said, we want people to be able to understand what we're doing and what the value proposition is quickly, and instinctively we all relate to a human face. I think a lot of companies probably don't have a human right when you land on their website, but I think they're kind of missing an opportunity. And I think that we could all get a little bit more audacious with taking those happy customer photos. And lastly, just about video, as you mentioned, if you're able to share video, and you're able to share, like, let's say before and afters or completed projects or happy customers, we're able to share a lot of information. That's the best thing about video, sharing a lot of information quick, right? Like, we can do a whole project, kind of, photos or a little video of before and after or whatever in a minute and a half, and tell the whole story, maybe do a little voiceover or something like that. We can meet a couple people on our team. There's a lot of things you can do in a minute and a half. A lot of information gets shared through video. And it's really, really easy to flip your phone around and turn it on its side and shoot a video that would challenge the quality of anything shot by high-end TV cameras in 2002. So, like, we have this giant opportunity at our fingertips, and we all forget about it constantly because it's old hat now, the internet and the iPhone and all these different things. But I guess I'll just be that guy today that's saying, don't forget about how ridiculously cool it is that we all have like a 2002 grade power camera at our fingertips at all times and can broadcast to anywhere on earth, like, and use that to your advantage. It's a ridiculous premise. If, like, by our brains in 2005 standards, like, this is a ridiculous premise. Don't forget about how cool of an opportunity it is to just be able to shoot a 1-minute video and broadcast yourself to all the people, basically.
No, there's a lot of there's guys that are coming along and they're doing video testimonials now.
Yeah,
and I think it's perfect, right? You're right there at the end of the job. That they're happy. Just ask. Honestly, look, you had to ask to get the job. You had to ask to get the deposit check. Like, asking for the review is not shameful at all.
It's not.
Please.
It's not. It's beautiful.
So you get them to do it. Some of my best performing stuff is I'll use the dogs. People love dogs, right?
Nice.
So I have this awesome photo of this. I actually just did another project over at this house. It's the 4th project I've done over there. But there's a golden retriever. And so the very first time I finished a large portion of this flooring project, I put him down in the living room and I posed him and I got him to stay. And I took this picture of Kipper, and man, I put it up and everybody, oh my God, they were commenting about the dog, not the floor. But the more comments you can get, right? Facebook's algorithm works on comments and reactions, and it keeps showing it and showing it. And I think it got like 30,000 impressions. So great.
And it doesn't have to be that pro, like you're saying with the testimonial thing. It doesn't have to be that crazy pro. Like, if you use this as a trigger because our customers often say very kind things about us at the end of, like you're saying, at the end of the project. They're kind of raving sometimes, like, just use that as a moment. I'm not saying every project goes that way. Sometimes there's like a weird hiccup at the end and everyone's kind of like anxious or something. But when they're having a good time and the project finished and it was lovely, and their experience, like, you have the night. I go out with different kinds of contractors and talk to the homeowners, and I hear them say things, and you're just sitting there, like, and for us, it's obvious because we're with a camera, and that was the point originally. But, like, we're sometimes just explaining concepts, and then the homeowner will come out, and then they'll say, we're talking about something, and the power of that, like, just that moment of them raving about you and just saying, hey, do you mind if I just get that on camera? Just use that as a trigger. When a homeowner is saying wonderful things, just say, hey, you wouldn't mind. You're not ruining it. You're just scaling it. That's all it is. And they understand. And most of the time people get it. Then just be like, hey, we're a small business. Would you mind sharing that on camera, what you just said?
Yeah. And you brought up the quality thing before. Homeowners don't care. Okay, look, I've talked about it on the podcast before I got into the flooring world, I did reality television. I've done
Oh,
high-end
cool.
production stuff. Okay. I know
Mm-hmm.
what the equipment costs. I know how to set up the lighting. I know how to make things
Yeah.
beautiful. We can get the gels in there. We can do
Yeah.
it all to it. Your
Yeah.
client for your floor doesn't want that. They don't need the
Yeah.
Ford car commercial that costs $5 million
Yep.
to produce. They
Yes.
want your cruddy iPhone video where you didn't turn your phone
Hey,
sideways and you have it held upright and
exactly.
their faces in it because it's real content and
Yeah.
it's honest. That's what's going to make them
Exactly.
connect. And it doesn't matter if it's grainy and whatever. You just the content matters more than the quality. So
That's huge.
go get it.
Exactly. That's a really, really important point. And sometimes there's always the appropriate moment where maybe it does make sense to hire professionals, etc. But yeah, I've seen, we put out a lot of videos, hundreds of videos, and so it is surprising sometimes those ones that were shot really quick
Mm-hmm.
do better than the other ones. They're too polished. It's too
Exactly.
polished. I know a commercial is coming. Sometimes, so it is funny how well those perform sometimes.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? Like you can get away with making it a commercial if you shoot it like garbage.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it coming, like you said, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't look like you're doing anything other than like, oh hey, they're just kind of showing me this thing, and then all of a sudden they've been sold the whole time because
Mhm.
your audio and post production is like, you can narrate it and you can drive
Mhm.
this whole, once again, you can drive the story through the narration, and you've wowed them
Yep.
with this cruddy video footage and these pictures that you have, but you're going
Yeah.
to get calls
Exactly.
from it. So there's it's fun. I wish I had the patience for it again, but I don't. That's why I should have so much. Everyone's always like, "Why don't you do any video for your stuff?" I can't. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, because you want it to be higher quality or
Exactly. I
something.
can't stand
Yeah, I
doing low
totally get it.
quality stuff. Right. Like if I just finally bought a camera, and I can't go buy like the little $500 power shot. I have to go get the professional grade equipment. My wife's like, "You don't need
Yeah.
that much camera for what you want to do," and I was like, "Sure, I do." I got a problem.
Exactly.
If you're gonna do it, I gotta go big.
Totally. I
It's
understand. There's
just,
certain things like that
oh
for me
man.
too.
Okay. So you got anything else?
I don't. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk to people today, and certainly maybe I'll just give my kind of basic contact information if people want to say hi.
Well, yeah. So what I noticed was, and I should have done this, 55 minutes and 45 seconds ago, was we didn't get your company name in. So
It's all good as
let's
long
get
as they understand. Yeah,
let's get who
I
you are,
hadn't earned the
company.
right.
No, you did.
I
Everybody gets to
hadn't.
introduce themselves.
No, Tim Brown, and the company is Hook Agency. So we help people hook better leads as hookagency.com and Hook Agency all over social media.
Awesome. If they want to reach out, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me at tim@hookagency.com. I'm the owner, lead strategist, and I've background in web design and SEO, so I can very quickly kind of talk through opportunities on your website if you wanted. And I'm not salesy, but I am nice.
You're gonna let your website sell us, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Check out our stuff. I think you might have a strong desire.
Okay. So then on the page, I'm assuming there's probably some hints and tips and tricks and try this or
Yeah,
that, and then if on social
exactly.
media as well.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, like I said, we give it all away. Our hookagency.com/blog. We really share a ton of useful information on there. I think just maybe like a next step, if somebody was like, hey, I want to go do some of the stuff this guy was talking about. One of the things I'd check out is hookagency.com/SEO-basics. And I talk through and give the links to different tools and basically kind of outline the strategy in a little bit more detail if you're trying to do some of this yourself.
Okay. Awesome, man. I very much appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day. I know you got a family to get to as well. So I loved it. I hope we can do something again in the future because
Absolutely.
it changes so fast and there's always more to cover.
Absolutely. I hope to know more than I do now 6 months from now. So if it's appropriate, let's do it.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
That's all the time we have for this week. To keep the conversation going, head on over to the Floor Academy Facebook group. Be sure to subscribe so you can hear each and every episode. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most major podcast directories. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you would like to be a guest, have questions or feedback, you can email us at flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. You can help support the show by becoming a patron over at www.patreon.com/flooracademy. Remember to learn while you earn.